Cinema loves to romanticize the Wild West, but it almost never tells the raw truth about the weapon that truly ruled that lawless world. On screen, the Colt Peacemaker is often treated as just another prop in the hands of fearless cowboys, something flashy to complete the image. What movies rarely show is that the real power of this revolver was not style or drama, but fear. The kind of fear born from knowing that a single shot could instantly decide who lived and who died. The Colt Single Action Army placed overwhelming firepower into the hands of ordinary men for the first time, and that reality changed everything. The Peacemaker did not become famous by accident. It became famous because it worked when everything else failed, because it killed when it had to, and because it transformed the Wild West into a place where reacting first often meant surviving. When the Colt Peacemaker was introduced in 1873, the United States was expanding rapidly westward into territories where laws were weak, institutions were fragile, and violence was a daily reality. Towns appeared overnight around railroads, mines, and cattle routes, filled with people chasing opportunity and fortune. In those places, there was no guarantee of safety. A reliable weapon was not a luxury, it was survival. Colt understood this reality perfectly. The Peacemaker was simple, rugged, and brutally effective. Its most iconic caliber, the .45 Colt, delivered devastating stopping power for its time, capable of dropping a man or even a horse with a single well-placed shot. That reputation spread quickly, and soon the Colt Peacemaker was everywhere, hanging from the belts of cowboys, sheriffs, soldiers, gunslingers, and outlaws alike. Movies often focus on elegant, slow-motion duels in dusty streets, but the truth was far more chaotic. Many confrontations never reached the dramatic showdown stage because the mere presence of a Colt Peacemaker was enough to end disputes. Arguments over cards, land, money, or pride could turn deadly in seconds, and everyone knew what that revolver could do. The reputation of the Peacemaker often spoke louder than words. It created an invisible line of respect and fear, and crossing that line meant risking your life. The revolver's design played a major role in this. It had no fragile mechanisms, no unnecessary complexity. Its single-action system required the hammer to be cocked before each shot, but that simplicity made it incredibly reliable, even when covered in dust, mud, sweat, or blood, conditions that were completely normal for life in the frontier. The daily reality of the men who carried a Colt Peacemaker was nothing like the movies. There was no background music, no heroic framing, only tension and constant alertness. Carrying that revolver meant understanding that violence could erupt at any moment. Loading the Peacemaker was a deliberate ritual, inserting each cartridge one by one into the cylinder, a quiet reminder that every bullet mattered. There were no second chances. 6 shots meant 6 decisions, and wasting one could mean death. The Peacemaker demanded discipline and respect, and those who mastered it built reputations that traveled faster than they did. In the Old West, word spread quickly, and a man known for carrying a Colt and knowing how to use it could end conflicts without ever drawing his weapon. Fear itself became a form of power. Law enforcement relied heavily on the Colt Peacemaker, and cinema often downplays this aspect. Sheriffs and marshals didn't just carry the revolver for gunfights, but as a visible symbol of authority in places where a badge alone meant very little. When a lawman walked into a saloon with a Colt Single Action Army on his hip, it sent a clear message: the law was present and it was armed. Ironically, outlaws favored the same revolver for exactly the same reasons. This created a brutal balance where both sides trusted the same weapon to decide their fate. The Peacemaker didn't belong to heroes or villains, it belonged to the frontier itself. That shared reliance is one of the reasons it became so influential. It shaped the violence of the era by placing everyone on equal footing, where skill, nerve, and speed mattered more than status. The United States Army also adopted the Colt Peacemaker, a fact often overlooked by popular culture. Its military use reinforced the revolver's reputation as a serious, dependable weapon, not just a cowboy's sidearm. Soldiers relied on it in harsh conditions, further proving its durability and effectiveness. Every aspect of its design served a practical purpose. The grip fit naturally into the hand, the balance allowed for quick draws, and the predictable trigger pull helped shooters place accurate shots under pressure. In a world where missing often meant dying, that reliability was priceless. The Peacemaker became famous because it reduced uncertainty in an uncertain world. As years passed and technology advanced, new firearms emerged with higher capacity, double-action triggers, and eventually semi-automatic systems. On paper, these weapons were superior, yet the Colt Peacemaker never truly lost its status. Instead of fading into obscurity, it became frozen in time as the ultimate symbol of the Wild West. It represented an era defined by ambition, danger, and survival, where the line between law and chaos was thin and often crossed. Collectors today don't seek out the Peacemaker merely for its craftsmanship, but for what it represents: a tangible piece of history, a connection to a time when a single mechanical tool could determine a man's fate. Modern shooters still use replicas of the Colt Peacemaker in sport and competition, deliberately embracing its slower, more deliberate rhythm. Cocking the hammer before each shot forces the shooter to slow down, to think, to feel the weight of history in their hands. Museums display original Peacemakers behind glass, yet they still command attention, because everyone understands the stories tied to that shape and that sound. Even people who have never held a gun recognize its silhouette instantly. In modern movies, games, and pop culture, the Colt Peacemaker continues to appear as a visual shorthand for authority, danger, and raw power. Its image alone communicates tension and consequence. What cinema truly fails to show is that the legend of the Colt Peacemaker is not exaggerated. If anything, it is simplified. The reality was harsher, faster, and more unforgiving than any movie scene. This revolver was not a myth or a romantic symbol when it was first carried. It was a real instrument that decided real lives in a real and violent world. It shaped the behavior of entire communities, influenced how disputes were handled, and left a permanent mark on American history. The phrase often associated with it, "God created men, Colt made them equal," captures its impact perfectly. It speaks to a moment when technology collided with human instinct and reshaped society forever. And now that you've gone far beyond the Hollywood version and uncovered the deeper truth behind the weapon that truly ruled the Wild West, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dives into history, legendary weapons, and the untold stories that shaped the world. Because here, we don't repeat myths, we reveal what really happened.